Highlight Series is a bi-weekly conversation that we have with the Ohio Means Jobs Columbus Franklin County Job Center and a lot of our wonderful local Central Ohio employers. And today we are excited to have The Ohio State University joining us. And more importantly, we have Pete Calamari. Pete, why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself?
Yeah, gladly. And thank you for having me. So I'm Peter Calamari with Ohio State, but my group is more specifically facilities teams. So I'm part of facilities operations and development, and we're part of a multifaceted, multidiscipline group. My operation is really daily operations and maintenance of campus. We have a design and construction team and an environmental health and safety group that are part of our larger operation.
So, if what I'm hearing is right, you're part of a lot of the cranes that we see over off of Lane Avenue.
Yes, our team, our larger team is responsible for a substantial number of cranes at any given time.
Yep, it's always fun to drive over and see what new is popping up in the area because it seems like you guys are always starting a project for sure.
Well, and I think one of the things that's interesting about our team is that it really goes from these massive construction projects, these, billion-dollar efforts in hospital systems to really like the most basic day-to-day services here on campus, which is, really making sure the campus is clean, roads are plowed, a lot of transactional things that just need to happen on a campus this big to enable classes and research and education.
I think that brings up a really fascinating point that a lot of people don't think about. You see large institutions like the Ohio State University, and you just assume that things happen, but there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, isn't there?
Yeah, we're a 24/7 operation. We have a substantial investment in healthcare. We're building onto that in either a large inpatient hospital here on the main campus, but also facilities all across Columbus. So we never sleep. We've got 1,000 different things going on at any given time, and I think that's one of the things that I like about working at Ohio State. Every day is different. There's always things changing. There's always new ideas, and it's really an interesting place to work, particularly in the bigger picture if you're able to engage in a lot of these different opportunities and projects.
I always appreciate a good segue, and you totally gave me one. So thank you. You mentioned that whole active, constantly changing and evolving workspace is part of what you like. Let's talk a lot about the culture right now of working at the Ohio State University. What should someone expect to experience when they work in an area like yours within the university?
Sure. I think just the culture is driven really by, the colleges and the medical center and all these different teams that work here. And it's somewhat non-traditional. And then we're not a company that makes a product, right? We don't make iPhones or logos or those kind of things, but really our products are, students, faculty, patients, research. And I think that's a little non-traditional. It creates more of an open culture. There's lots of different folks that work here with, a wide variety of views and research topics. So it's a little bit more laid back. I think we try to be open and supportive of a lot of different types of people and ideas. So it's really a very different place than any place I've ever worked before. And again, I think that's one of the big benefits of being part of OSU.
Yeah, when you think about being one of the largest employers in Franklin County, obviously that diversity, equity, and inclusion piece is really important. Let's move into some of the professional development opportunities because I know later on we're going to talk about some of the open positions that you have right now. But obviously, with an organization this big and you are an educational entity, what does professional development look like at the Ohio State University?
Right. So a lot depends on your roles and really what your interests are. So within our operation, we're building out training programs for more of our skilled trade staff and trying to create avenues for people who come in with lesser skill sets or more entry level jobs to eventually migrate up to those jobs and be part of some of our more complex operations. But it also means a lot of things to people in terms of access to education. There's a tremendous number of workshops that go on at every place, from the Ag College to the John Glenn School of Leadership. And there's seminars and there's different types of classes and opportunities there. But there's also opportunities for long-term work in terms of pursuing another degree or a graduate degree. And I think a lot of our staff take advantage of that. And really, I think it's one of the big benefits because those benefits also translate to your family as well, where there's, tuition benefits there for your kids or maybe a spouse or a partner. So I think there's really a lot of opportunities here. For the most part, I think a lot depends on what people pursue. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they mentioned that they had learned to go fly fishing, and I always wanted to do that. I was trying to figure out where to take a class, and he told me, "Well, the class is here at OSU. You could take a fly fishing class here." And I thought, oh, like I've been here just about 17 years, and I never put it in that context in my head that all these things exist, even things maybe that are a bit non-traditional or not everybody would like to do.
Right. And I think the world of education right now, it really has evolved so much over the past 2 or 3 years, obviously with, the experience we had during the pandemic. And we won't stress you out by talking about what you guys experienced during that, because I can only imagine what your team went through. But it's really opened up different ways to do work, and I think that is something that I'm sure you and your team have probably experienced now, is that you're doing things very different than you were 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's still evolving here on campus. And there's lots of different types of roles. So if you're more traditional in a frontline role, that you're really needed to be here. But many of our other jobs are more of a hybrid arrangement. I'm often on campus 4 days a week, but if I need to be home for a specific reason, or I just need a day to concentrate, and that could be better suited for my house, that's an option that's available to me and to our staff. So I think that's a really great change that's come about, where you don't need to be here 40 to 50 hours a week sitting in a chair looking at a screen or meeting with somebody in person, but there's all these different avenues that you can pursue, that allows you to be effective at your work, and also allows you to be more available sometimes to your family or to other needs that you might have. So I think it's a great opportunity. I often find myself working a little bit in the evenings because I've got to balance something that I have to do with my son during the day. So certainly people should keep that in mind as they look at the university and the diversity of employment there is here.
Yeah, that work-life balance is super important, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It definitely is. So you kind of went towards benefits, which I think is always another, really great portion of the conversation, talking about like the tuition benefit itself. What other types of benefits are really something that stand out at the Ohio State University?
Right. So I think there's, a number of things that are probably a little bit different here. So Ohio State is a state institution, and it is part of the OPERS system, which is basically the Public Workers Pension Fund system here in Ohio. And I'm not really an expert at that, so I couldn't speak in great detail to that. But we do also offer a long-term pension and also some other options, which would allow you maybe to operate more like in a 401k, with just a different type of savings package, and some mixed options that I think are really attractive to people, particularly. We're a long-term employer. We want you to stay here with us. We want you to be, here for a really long time and to have a number of different roles. So I think that's a really attractive thing, where you don't have to go someplace else to have a different job experience. And we offer, healthcare benefits that I think are really on par with most of the big employers you'll find here in Central Ohio. We have a healthcare system that's really critical to our operation, that is also a great, service to us. I've taken advantage of a number of different healthcare situations over my time here, and that's really been beneficial to me and my family. So I think there's a lot of things here besides the culture, besides being part of Ohio State, that are attractive here on campus.
Yeah, that all makes so much sense and sounds phenomenal. To be honest with you, that holistic benefits package is really important to a lot of people today. So that's great to hear. Let's talk a little about ideal candidates, like for some of your positions. What do you look for in someone that you're interviewing for some of your positions?
Yeah, I think a couple of things kind of stand out. Really, first and foremost is, do people really want to be here? Do they want to be part of Ohio State? Because we'll work with you to try and make that happen. What type of development do you need? What kind of skill sets do you want to develop? Where do you want to be in time? I think the other thing is trying to be flexible and adaptable, because the university is, right? You mentioned across campus. We're growing tremendously. We're going to add a massive inpatient hospital. We're building buildings that are far more technical and diverse than they've ever been before. The Internet of Things, right? All this technology that lives in these buildings is now something that's part of our daily life, just beyond day-to-day maintenance. So somebody who can see a role for themselves over time and is a learner, I think those are great skills to have, and things that we look for when we bring in employees, or have a picture of an ideal candidate in our head.
Yeah, I think you just mentioned something that I really hadn't thought about until right now, and that is with all of the growth that you have and all of the research that's happening within the university, that does bring on a new complexity to some of the work that your team, has to maintain because the facilities are state of the art and they're introducing new technology in the facilities too. And that to me is super exciting.
Yeah, and that's really an area where we're trying to develop people and trying to identify, sometimes even students that work here at Ohio State, we bring them in some type of internship or summer role with us. And then a number of people have opted to stay with us, at least to start their professional careers here. So that's been a really good step for us in terms of kind of recruiting folks. And then, that development piece, trying to get people with the right skill sets that help the campus grow. That's a big focus of our recruiting because we know that's a longer term journey. We know that those folks are going to need some development and training.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. So, talking about ideal candidates, if somebody's watching, this live stream right now and they think that they're a good fit for what you're talking about, the type of work sounds amazing and they have a desire to apply, let's kind of walk through what does the application, the hiring process look like?
sure. So opportunities here at OSU start at osu.edu. We have a job site, and we need you to jump in and apply. You don't have to create a profile, but if you're interested in the university, it's probably worth your time to create that profile and keep a resume and some information on file. That way, you can jump in and apply for other jobs over time if you need to, or you're interested in new opportunities. And then from there, we'll vet our candidate. We usually do a quick phone screening with people we think might be a good fit for the opportunity. And if all that checks out and everybody's comfortable, we'll have you come back in and do a formal interview for us. And then if you're chosen, then we'll really push to an offer, hopefully as quickly as we can. Usually our process is somewhere between ideally 45 days, but oftentimes it stretches out a good bit longer, unfortunately. And I think a lot of that is just, we're often waiting on candidates and we appreciate that, they've got 1,000 other things in their life that they're trying to manage as well. But that's one of the things, that we'd like to be a little bit more nimble on, trying to get people through that interview process and on the team, because we do have a number of needs here on campus.
Yeah. So it sounds like if somebody is really engaged and they have the availability, you could definitely, go shorter than that 45-day window if they really are available and ready to work with you.
Yeah, and if not, we will do our absolute best to get there.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that I think a lot of people always wonder, is there any type of drug screen, background check, that type of thing involved in the hiring process?
Well, for OSU, there is a background check, but I think maybe people view that as an absolute when it's really not. I think, what we're trying to do is trying to understand the candidate's background and just make sure we understand, their work history. And, many of things are minor things in the past, and those aren't really relevant to the job search today. So people should keep that in mind that, we want you to join our team. And that is just part of our process, but it's not an exclusive item. And in terms of the healthcare system, yeah, there is a drug screen there, but not really on main campus. Certain jobs, if you're a CDL driver, that's just a state requirement that there's a drug screen. That would be here as well, because we do have needs for CDL drivers also.
Yep. Awesome. And so, as you mentioned earlier, we have the URL on the screen right now. If somebody's interested in exploring what career opportunities are available, I think that is a great place to go to kind of start to do that research and really figure out what you might have an interest in. Pete, I appreciate you talking about the culture and the professional development, all the benefit opportunities that are at the Ohio State University. But now we get to transition to what I think is probably the most exciting thing, in the fact that we're going to have your team on site here at the Job Center this Thursday for our Thursday with an employer at 11 o'clock. So let's talk a little about the current open positions that you're really focusing on for recruitment right now.
Right. So we probably, for a big campus, we probably have close to 70 positions. And then at the healthcare system, it's probably at least another 30 or so. Vast majority of those are skilled trade based, but they go from really entry level work all the way to high level skilled trades workers. And then we have a large number of custodial openings that, everything again from really entry level work, which might be an ideal place to start for somebody trying to figure out a path and is just trying to get in through the door. We do have a number of landscape positions that are open for different groundskeeper positions. And I think, again, that's a job that's maybe a little bit non-traditional, but if you like to be outside and you don't want to be in an office, a lot of the staff that enjoy those jobs and stay a long time, that's really their mindset. And, they're very happy to be out in the summer and really not too put off by the cold weather. So again, a different type of role for a different type of person. Then we have a number of technical jobs. We have an engineering position that's probably going to post for an energy engineer. We have a civil assessor, which is a little bit more in the traditional civil engineering realm, but has some different elements to it. I think that would be interesting for somebody in a traditional engineering job that might want to look for a different type of experience. So we really have a vast majority of needs, and we're really planning on coming on Thursday to really talk to anybody who has an interest in any of those opportunities, because we really want to encourage people to really look at Ohio State and understand the breadth of our opportunities.
Yeah, and I think just listening to that variety really excites me because, as you mentioned, someone can enter in maybe some type of a custodial janitorial role and just really start to understand the ecosystem that is the university and figure out their path and their trajectory, and they can really move in those directions with all of the training and learning opportunities that you talked about.
One of the best hires we've made in some time is really the gentleman who runs our building automation and HVAC group. Really started here as a custodial worker, really not far out of high school, had a desire to learn, worked up through the ranks, educated himself, grew his skill set, and actually left for a period of time, went to work for a private contractor in the building integration world, and then recently came back and joined us. And I think it's a great story of the types of opportunities and path that you can create for yourself. And he was really happy to come back, and we were really happy to have him. He's doing a great job. So I think people need to think a little bit more broadly when they think about the university. And there's a number of these stories over the years, that I'm aware of, or that I've seen people accomplish and really change their path by trying to leverage all the different opportunities here on campus.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. And so for anybody who's interested in meeting with the team from the Ohio State University this Thursday at our Job Center, you can visit omjcfc.org/Thursday and get a slot where you can register for that. We do allow walk-ins as well, but we really encourage people to register just so that we're prepared to understand who's coming, so that we can prepare the team from OSU as well. Pete, I appreciate your time today. Appreciate you providing all of this wonderful information around employment at the Ohio State University and all the career opportunities they're offered. Do you have any parting words for everybody today?
No, I want to again, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. And I would really encourage people, it would just be great to talk to you. If you have any kind of interest in the university, I'm sure we could shed some light on whatever questions you have. And I think it's a great place to work. It's a great anchor employer for Central Ohio. So thanks again, and go Bucks.
So again, to visit with the team from OSU, you can visit omjcfc.org/Thursday to register a slot. You can also call us at 614-559-5052, and we can help get you registered. The session will be at our Job Center, which is located at 1111 East Broad Street, just east of downtown Columbus. We really hope to see everybody here on Thursday. I know Pete and the team would love to have a ton of candidates interested in these amazing positions. Pete, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing everybody on Thursday. Have a great day. Thank you.